Commander Zethkari had been reviewing mining reports for 3 hours when the emergency signal broke through his peaceful afternoon. The tall, blue-skinned Altarian was known throughout the Federation for his calm nature and careful decision-making. In his 40 years of service, he had never faced anything more dangerous than a broken cargo ship or a lost exploration vessel. The signal came from the Outer Rim territories, where the newest Federation colonies were just starting to grow. Zethkari expected another routine request for supply ships or medical aid. Instead, static filled his office speakers, followed by a voice thick with terror. "This is Colony Leader Ythmora of Kepler Station calling any Federation vessel. Unknown ships have appeared in our system. Massive fleet. We tried to communicate, but they do not respond to any of our signals. They are moving toward our main settlement. Please, anyone who can hear this message, we need immediate help." The transmission crackled with interference. Zethkari could hear explosions in the background and voices shouting in panic. Then the voice returned, more desperate than before. "They are firing on our cities. Orbital bombardment. Our shields cannot hold. We have 15 million people on this world. We are evacuating what we can, but there is not enough time. The children. Please, someone help us." The signal cut to screams, then nothing but empty static. Zethkari stared at his communication panel for several seconds, unable to process what he had just heard. In 3,000 years of Federation history, no member world had ever been attacked. The very concept of orbital bombardment was something from ancient history books, not modern reality. He immediately sent the recording to the High Council and activated emergency protocols across all Federation space. Within minutes, every military commander and government leader in the galaxy was listening to the same terrifying message. Admiral Korathval of the Federation Defense Fleet received the alert while touring a new medical ship. The elderly Centauri had spent his entire career managing peaceful operations like disaster relief and scientific expeditions. His fleet consisted of lightly armed patrol ships designed for rescue operations and diplomatic missions. The most powerful weapons they carried were mining lasers used for clearing asteroid fields. "Get me a connection to Kepler Station immediately," he ordered his communications officer. But when they tried to establish contact, they found only silence. Long-range sensors showed something that chilled him to his core. The energy signatures from the Kepler system indicated that the planet's surface was glowing with heat. The entire world had been turned into a ball of molten rock. Before Admiral Korathval could fully understand what had happened, 3 more distress calls came in rapid succession. The Veltar colony on Proxima 7 reported unknown attackers. The mining station at Arcturus fell silent mid-transmission. A research outpost studying ancient ruins sent a final message describing ships the size of cities appearing from hyperspace. Each call followed the same pattern. Unknown vessels would appear without warning, ignore all attempts at communication, and then systematically destroy everything on the planet's surface. No Federation ship that tried to defend these worlds survived long enough to send detailed reports about their attackers. Dr. Menthara, the Federation's leading expert on galactic history, was called to an emergency session of the High Council. The small insect-like klaxon had studied every known species in the galaxy for decades. She had never encountered any reference to such aggressive behavior. "These attacks are unlike anything in our records," she explained to the assembled leaders. "The precision and speed suggest advanced military technology, but the complete lack of communication indicates a species with no interest in negotiation or conquest. They appear to want only destruction." Council leader Vashatoni, an ancient and wise member of the peaceful Etherian race, listened to the reports with growing horror. His people had been among the founding members of the Federation, and their philosophy of non-violence had shaped galactic civilization for millennia. "We must attempt diplomatic contact," he insisted. "No intelligent species can truly want only destruction. There must be some misunderstanding, some conflict we can resolve through discussion." But as the hours passed, more worlds fell silent. The attacking force, which intelligence reports now called the Hegemony, moved through Federation space like a wave of death. They showed no interest in capturing resources, taking prisoners, or establishing control. They simply erased every sign of life from each world they encountered. The Federation's defense fleet, spread thin across dozens of systems, tried desperately to mount some kind of resistance. Admiral Korathval sent his fastest ships to intercept the Hegemony forces, but the results were always the same. Federation vessels would approach the unknown attackers, attempt to communicate, and then simply disappear from all sensors. The enemy ships would continue their systematic destruction as if nothing had happened. Captain Yethalara of the patrol ship Peaceful Journey managed to send one brief report before her vessel was destroyed. Her message contained the only detailed description the Federation had of their attackers. Ships are organic in appearance, dark purple and black in color, massive size, easily 10 times larger than our biggest vessels. Weapon systems unknown but capable of penetrating our shields in seconds. They move in perfect formation and show no reaction to our surrender signals. These beings do not want to talk. They only want to kill. As news of the attack spread through Federation space, panic began to take hold. Civilian populations on outer rim worlds started evacuating toward the core systems, but the hegemony forces were moving faster than anyone could run. Entire star systems were being wiped clean of life in a matter of hours. The Federation had built their civilization on the belief that any problem could be solved through careful discussion and mutual understanding. They had no experience with an enemy that refused to negotiate. Their ships were built for exploration and rescue, not combat. Their military training focused on crowd control and disaster response, not warfare. Emergency sessions of the High Council ran for days without reaching any workable solution. Some members suggested offering tribute or territory to appease the attackers. Others proposed evacuating entire sectors and hoping the hegemony would stop their advance once they found empty worlds. A few radical voices even suggested trying to build weapons, but the Federation had no knowledge of military technology beyond basic defensive systems. Dr. Menthara worked frantically to find any historical reference that might explain the hegemony's behavior or reveal a weakness. She searched through archives dating back to the dawn of galactic civilization but found nothing. This level of systematic destruction was completely unknown in Federation experience. On the 7th day of attacks, with 23 worlds already destroyed and millions of refugees flooding the inner systems, Council leader Vashishtoni made the most desperate decision in Federation history. Despite the protests of conservative members who feared making the situation worse, he authorized a general distress call to be broadcast on all emergency frequencies. The message would reach far beyond Federation space, into the unexplored regions where rumors spoke of primitive worlds and violent species. The Federation had always avoided contact with such places, believing that advanced civilizations had a duty to remain separate from lesser developed races that had not yet learned the ways of peace. But now, with their entire way of life facing extinction, they had no choice but to ask for help from anyone who might answer. The message was simple and direct, translated into hundreds of languages and broadcast continuously across all known communication channels. This is the Galactic Federation calling any intelligent species within range of this transmission. Our worlds are under attack by an unknown force that refuses all attempts at communication. They are systematically destroying our colonies and killing billions of our people. We have no experience with warfare and our defensive capabilities are insufficient. We are requesting immediate assistance from any species with the ability to help. We will share our technology and resources with anyone willing to aid us in this crisis. Please respond if you can hear this message. The broadcast reached across the galaxy, traveling through hyperspace relay networks and emergency beacon systems. It passed through the territories of species the Federation had never contacted, carried by ancient communication arrays left behind by long-dead civilizations, deep in unexplored space. The message was received by monitoring stations belonging to a species the Federation had never heard of. A species that had evolved on a world where survival meant constant struggle against a hostile environment and dangerous predators. A species that understood warfare not as a theoretical concept, but as a fundamental part of existence. The message reached Earth, and humanity began to listen. Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison was drinking his third cup of coffee when the alien signal came through the deep space monitoring equipment. He had been working the night shift at Omega 7 Station for 6 months, watching empty screens and listening to cosmic background radiation. Most nights, the only excitement came from detecting old satellite signals or tracking space debris. The station floated in the dark between Jupiter and Saturn, far from the busy shipping lanes near Earth. Its job was to watch for anything unusual coming from outside the solar system. Jake and his small crew of 12 technicians had never found anything more interesting than a stray comet. When the signal first appeared on his screens, Jake thought it was equipment failure. The patterns were too complex and too organized to be natural. He ran diagnostics on all the receivers, but the equipment was working perfectly. The signal was real and it was clearly artificial. "Hey Carol, come take a look at this," Jake called to his communications specialist. Carol Peterson had been working with alien signal detection longer than anyone else on the station. If anyone could make sense of weird transmissions, it was her. Carol studied the readouts for several minutes, her face growing more serious with each passing second. "Jake, this is not like anything we have seen before. The signal is using multiple frequency bands at the same time, and the data compression is way beyond our current technology. This is definitely not human." The two officers worked through the night trying to decode the mysterious transmission. They used every translation program and pattern recognition system available to Earth's military. Most of the signal remained incomprehensible, but gradually certain sections began to make sense. By morning, they had managed to translate enough of the message to understand its basic meaning. An advanced alien civilization was under attack by an unknown enemy. They were asking for help from anyone who could hear their call. Millions of people were dying, and their peaceful society had no way to defend itself. Jake immediately contacted Admiral Lisa Hayes at Terra Command. The Admiral was known throughout the Solar System Defense Force for her sharp mind and quick decisions. She had commanded Earth's military forces during the Mars colony crisis and the Asteroid Belt War. If anyone could handle humanity's first contact with alien life, it was her. Admiral Hayes read the translated message 3 times before calling an emergency meeting of the Defense Council. Within 6 hours, every senior military officer and government leader on Earth was studying the alien distress call. Dr. Alan Pierce arrived at Terra Command still wearing his university teaching clothes. The head of the Xenolinguistics Division had spent 20 years preparing for the possibility of alien contact, but he had never imagined it would happen like this. He brought with him the most advanced translation computers on Earth and a team of his best researchers. The language structure is completely unlike anything human, Dr. Pierce explained to the assembled officials. But the emotional content is clear. These beings are terrified. They are facing complete extinction and have no idea how to fight back. Defense Minister Patricia Cole raised the obvious question that everyone was thinking.
How do we know this is not some kind of trick or test?
What if these aliens are trying to lure us into a trap? General Frank Lopez, commander of Earth's Space Forces, studied the technical data from the alien transmission. The energy signatures suggest technology far beyond our current capabilities. If they wanted to harm us, they probably would not need to use tricks. They could just come here and take whatever they wanted. President Williams listened to the debate for several hours before making his decision. Earth would respond to the alien call for help, but carefully. They would send reconnaissance ships to investigate the situation. Before committing to any major action, Captain Nina Cross received her new orders while her ship was docked at Luna Station for routine maintenance. The Silent Hunter was Earth's most advanced stealth vessel, equipped with prototype jump drives and the latest cloaking technology. Her crew of 40 specialists had trained for deep space reconnaissance missions, but nothing had prepared them for a journey beyond the solar system. Cross had served in 3 major conflicts during her 15-year military career. She had commanded patrol ships during the pirate wars in the outer planets and led rescue operations in hostile environments. Her record showed exceptional skill in dangerous situations, which was exactly what this mission would require. Dr. Pierce joined Cross's crew as a scientific advisor, bringing with him advanced translation equipment and cultural analysis programs. His job was to help establish communication with any alien species they encountered, and to gather intelligence about these unknown civilizations. Chief Engineer Roy Phillips worked around the clock to upgrade the Silent Hunter's systems. The ship received improved sensors, additional armor plating, and experimental weapons that had never been tested in real combat. Earth's best technology was built into a vessel designed to travel farther than any human had ever gone. The mission planning took 3 weeks. Earth's military leaders studied every detail of the alien transmission, trying to understand what their ships might face in unknown space. The aliens had described attackers with massive fleets and devastating weapons. If these reports were accurate, the Silent Hunter would be facing technology that could destroy entire planets. Captain Cross assembled her crew in the ship's main briefing room before departure. She looked at the faces of men and women, who had volunteered for the most dangerous mission in human history. They would be traveling to unknown regions of space with no backup and no way to call for help if things went wrong. "We are not going out there to fight a war," Cross told her crew. "Our job is to watch and learn. We need to understand what is happening to these aliens and figure out whether Earth can help them. Stay alert, follow orders, and remember that we represent all of humanity on this mission." The Silent Hunter launched from Luna Station on a cold Tuesday morning. Earth's news networks covered the departure, calling it the most important moment in human history. For the first time, representatives of Earth were leaving the solar system to make contact with alien civilizations. As the ship activated its jump drive and disappeared into hyperspace, millions of people on Earth watched the empty space where it had been. Some prayed for the crew's safe return. Others worried about what they might find in the darkness between stars. Admiral Hayes remained at Terra Command, coordinating Earth's response to the crisis. She ordered increased patrols around the outer planets and put all military forces on high alert. If hostile aliens were destroying civilizations across the galaxy, Earth needed to be ready for the possibility that the attackers might eventually find humanity. Intelligence services worked frantically to decode more of the alien transmissions. Each new message painted a darker picture of the situation. The attacking force, which the aliens called the hegemony, was moving through their territory like a plague, destroying everything in its path. Entire star systems were being wiped clean of life. Dr. Pierce's research team discovered something troubling in the alien communications. The peaceful civilization under attack had no concept of warfare as humans understood it. Their language had no words for military strategy, combat tactics, or weapons of war. They seemed to be a species that had never experienced violence on any significant scale. "These beings are like children facing a pack of wolves," Dr. Pierce reported to Admiral Hayes. "They have advanced technology and impressive scientific knowledge, but they have no idea how to fight. Their society appears to be based on cooperation and peaceful problem-solving." This revelation sparked intense debates among Earth's leaders. Some argued that humanity should stay out of conflicts between alien species. Others insisted that Earth had a moral duty to help peaceful civilizations defend themselves against aggressive attackers. Religious leaders called for prayer and careful consideration. Scientists demanded more information before making any commitments. Military commanders wanted to know more about the enemy's capabilities and intentions. 3 days after the Silent Hunter's departure, another alien transmission reached Earth. This message was different from the first distress call. Instead of panic and fear, it contained detailed technical information about the attacking forces. The aliens were sharing their sensor data and tactical observations, hoping that someone with military experience might find it useful. Dr. Pierce's team translated the technical data and passed it to military analysts. What they found was both impressive and terrifying. The hegemony fleet consisted of hundreds of massive ships, each one capable of destroying a planet's surface in a matter of hours. Their technology was clearly superior to anything Earth had developed. But the military analysts also noticed something that gave them hope. The hegemony ships seemed to rely on overwhelming firepower rather than sophisticated tactics. They attacked in straight lines, used predictable patterns, and showed no sign of adapting to resistance. They fought like a force that had never faced serious opposition. General Lopez studied the data for hours before reaching his conclusion. "These attackers are powerful, but they are not invincible." Captain Cross felt her stomach twist as the Silent Hunter dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Federation territory. The jump had taken 4 days, longer than any human had ever traveled from Earth. Now they floated in completely unknown space, surrounded by alien stars and facing whatever had destroyed multiple civilizations. "Sensors online," reported Lieutenant Ben Carter from his tactical station, beginning passive scans of the local area. What they found made the entire crew fall silent. 3 planets orbited a yellow star similar to Earth's sun. All 3 worlds showed signs of recent massive bombardment. The surfaces glowed with heat from orbital strikes that had turned continents into seas of molten rock. "Those impact craters are enormous," whispered Dr. Pierce as he studied the sensor readings. "Each one is hundreds of miles across. Whatever did this has weapons that make our nuclear arsenal look like fireworks." Chief Engineer Phillips ran detailed scans on the dead worlds. The energy signatures suggest the attacks happened within the last week. The planets are still cooling down from the bombardment. There might have been billions of people living on these worlds. Cross ordered the ship to maintain stealth mode while they investigated further. The Silent Hunters' advanced cloaking systems made them invisible to most forms of detection. But they had no idea what technology the attackers might possess. As they moved deeper into the system, their sensors detected something that made Cross's blood run cold. A massive fleet was approaching another inhabited planet, one that still showed signs of life and civilization. "Count is 312 vessels," Carter reported, his voice tight with shock. "Range of sizes, but the largest ones are bigger than anything in our databases. They are moving in perfect formation toward the fourth planet." The alien ships were unlike anything human engineers had ever imagined. They looked more grown than built, with organic curves and dark purple hulls that seemed to absorb light. Each vessel bristled with weapon systems that glowed with strange energy. "Those are the biggest ships I have ever seen," Philip said, studying the tactical display. "The largest ones are over 5 miles long. How do they even move something that massive?" Cross watched the alien fleet approach the inhabited world and realized they were about to witness the destruction of another civilization. Her orders were clear: observe only, gather intelligence, and return to Earth with information. But as she watched the doomed planet, she found it hard to remain a passive observer. The inhabited world was clearly trying to defend itself. Small ships rose from the surface, their hulls gleaming white and silver in the starlight. These vessels were beautiful, designed with flowing curves and artistic details that suggested a peaceful, advanced culture. "The defending ships are not firing," Carter observed. "They are broadcasting on multiple frequencies, probably trying to communicate with the attackers." Dr. Pierce activated the translation systems and listened to the alien communications. After several minutes, he turned to Cross with a grim expression. "They are pleading for mercy, asking the attackers to stop and discuss whatever conflict led to this situation. They are offering to share resources, technology, anything the attackers might want." The attacking fleet ignored all communication attempts. Instead, they opened fire on the peaceful ships with weapons that tore through their hulls like tissue paper. The defensive fleet, clearly designed for exploration and rescue rather than combat, was destroyed in minutes. "They are not even trying to capture prisoners or demand surrender," Cross said, watching the one-sided battle. "They just want to kill everything." With the space around the planet cleared of defenders, the massive fleet began orbital bombardment. Beams of energy struck the planet's surface, each impact creating explosions visible from space. Cities that had probably stood for thousands of years vanished in seconds. The crew of the Silent Hunter watched in horror as an entire civilization died before their eyes. These were not military targets or strategic installations. The attackers were systematically destroying everything on the planet's surface, from major cities to small farming communities. "Captain," Carter said quietly, "I am detecting evacuation ships trying to escape from the far side of the planet. Small civilian vessels probably carrying refugees." Cross trained her sensors on the fleeing ships. They were clearly not military vessels, just civilian transports packed with survivors, families trying to escape the destruction of their world. 3 of the attacking ships broke off from the main fleet and moved to intercept the refugees. They were fast, closing the distance quickly despite the head start the evacuation ships had gained. "Those civilians do not have a chance," Philip said. "Their ships are too slow and they have no weapons." Cross stared at the tactical display, watching the hunters close in on their helpless prey. Her orders were to observe and gather intelligence. Getting involved would reveal their presence and might start a war between Earth and this unknown enemy. But she could not stand by and watch innocent people die when she had the power to help. "All stations battle alert," Cross announced. "Prepare to engage enemy scouts." "Captain," Dr. Pierce said carefully, "our orders are to remain hidden and avoid contact." "Our orders are also to gather intelligence about the enemy," Cross replied. "We can learn a lot more about their capabilities if we force them to fight back." The Silent Hunter dropped its cloaking field and accelerated toward the pursuing enemy ships. At maximum speed, the human vessel covered the distance in minutes, arriving just as the attackers were preparing to fire on the refugee transports. Cross had studied the enemy fleet for hours, looking for weaknesses in their design and tactics. The alien ships seemed to rely on energy weapons and advanced shields, but they moved in predictable patterns and showed no signs of expecting resistance. Target the lead ship, Cross ordered. Fire all weapons. The Silent Hunter's railguns opened fire, sending solid metal projectiles at incredible velocity toward the enemy vessel. The alien ship's shields flared and collapsed under the kinetic impact, something they were clearly not designed to handle. The projectiles punched through the hull, causing massive internal explosions. The second enemy ship tried to turn and return fire, but Cross was already moving. The Silent Hunter's combat systems had been designed for fighting pirates and raiders in Earth's solar system. Against enemies who expected only energy weapons, human kinetic technology was devastatingly effective. Second target destroyed, Carter reported. Third ship is trying to retreat. Cross pursued the fleeing alien vessel, using the Silent Hunter's superior speed to stay ahead of its desperate maneuvers. The enemy ship fired repeatedly with energy beams that could have destroyed a planet, but they could not hit a target that refused to stay still. Finish it, Cross ordered. The third enemy ship exploded in a ball of purple fire, its alien technology unable to cope with damage from weapons it had never encountered. In less than 10 minutes, 3 ships that could have destroyed worlds were reduced to floating debris. The evacuation ships had used the distraction to escape to hyperspace, carrying thousands of refugees to safety. Cross watched them disappear and felt a moment of satisfaction. They had saved lives and learned valuable information about the enemy, but their intervention had not gone unnoticed. The main alien fleet had detected the explosions and was now turning toward their position. 300 massive ships were moving to investigate what had happened to their scouts. Time to leave, Cross announced. Jump drive, maximum range. The Silent Hunter vanished into hyperspace just as the enemy fleet arrived at the battle site. The alien commanders found only debris and energy signatures from weapons they had never seen before. As they traveled back toward Federation space, Cross reviewed the battle recordings with her crew. They had learned that the enemy ships, despite their massive size and devastating firepower, were vulnerable to kinetic weapons and unprepared for mobile tactics. They fight like they have never faced real opposition, Carter observed. No evasive maneuvers, no attempt to coordinate defense. They just rely on overwhelming force. Dr. Pierce had been analyzing the communications from the refugee ships. Captain, we received a transmission from the evacuation vessels before they jumped away. They are grateful for our help, but they also want to know who we are and where we came from. What did you tell them? Nothing yet. But I think we need to make contact soon. These people need to know that someone is willing to fight back against the attackers. Cross made her decision. Set course for the coordinates in the Federation distress call. If there are any survivors left, we need to find them and offer our help. 2 days later, the Silent Hunter emerged from hyperspace near a hidden outpost in an asteroid field. The base was clearly designed to avoid detection, built inside a hollowed-out asteroid and powered by shielded reactors. We are receiving a transmission, Dr. Pierce reported. Multiple alien languages, but I can make out the basic meaning. They want to know if we are friends or enemies. Cross opened a communication channel to the hidden base. This would be humanity's first direct contact with alien intelligence, a moment that would change both species forever. This is Captain Cross of the Earth vessel Silent Hunter, she broadcast. We received your distress call and came to help. We want to talk. Admiral Hayes stood in the command center at Terra Command, watching the live transmission from the asteroid outpost with fascination and concern. Captain Cross had successfully made contact with the alien survivors, but the conversation was revealing information that shocked everyone on Earth. The meeting was taking place aboard a Federation research vessel called the Harmony of Thought. Dr. Pierce sat across from 3 alien representatives, their translation computers working to bridge the gap between completely different languages and ways of thinking. Station Commander Velani was the first alien to speak directly with humans. She belonged to a species called the Alterian, with blue skin, large eyes, and delicate features that suggested a life of peace and comfort. When she first saw Dr. Pierce, her translator struggled with concepts that did not exist in Federation languages. Your species evolved on a world where survival required violence? Velani asked, her feathered head tilting in confusion. Your planet actively tries to kill you? Dr. Pierce found himself trying to explain ideas that seemed completely normal to humans, but horrified the peaceful aliens. He started with simple concepts like weather and geography, but even these basic facts about Earth shocked his listeners. Our world has storms that can destroy entire cities, Pierce explained carefully. The ground shakes and breaks open during earthquakes. Volcanoes pour molten rock across the landscape. The weather changes from freezing cold to deadly heat. The second alien representative, a scientist named Kethmar from the insect-like klaxon species, studied the data about Earth that Pierce had shared. His translator clicked and buzzed as he processed information that challenged everything he knew about habitable worlds. Your gravity is nearly twice what we consider survivable, Kethmar observed, his compound eyes reflecting light in strange patterns. Your atmosphere contains oxygen at concentrations that would be toxic to most species. The temperature variations alone should make complex life impossible. Pierce tried to explain how these harsh conditions had shaped human development, but the concept seemed too alien for the Federation representatives to understand. The idea that competition and struggle could make a species stronger was completely outside their experience. The third alien, an elderly Etherian named Council Leader Kethvarn, listened to the discussion with growing amazement. His people were among the oldest species in the Federation, and their philosophy of non-violence had influenced galactic civilization for thousands of years. You speak of creatures on your world that hunt and kill other creatures for food, Kethvarn said slowly. This is normal on your planet? Predator-prey relationships are the foundation of our ecosystem, Pierce explained. Everything on Earth competes for resources. Plants compete for sunlight and water. Animals hunt other animals or compete for territory. Even humans had to fight for survival against dangerous wildlife and harsh environments. The aliens struggled to process this information. In Federation space, evolution had followed different paths. Most species had developed on worlds with stable climates and abundant resources. Competition was rare, and cooperation was the key to advancement. Captain Cross joined the conversation by video link from the Silent Hunter. She had been observing the enemy fleet movements and had important tactical information to share, but when she began describing human military capabilities, the cultural divide became even more apparent. Every human settlement has defensive systems, Cross explained. Every ship carries weapons for protection against pirates and hostile wildlife. Personal weapons are common tools that most adults know how to use. Vellani's translator made strange noises as it tried to process the concept of widespread weapon ownership. Your civilians carry devices designed to kill other beings? For protection, Cross clarified. On Earth, dangerous situations can develop quickly. Wild animals, natural disasters, criminal attacks, people need to be able to defend themselves. Kethmar had been studying the technical specifications of the Silent Hunter. What he found challenged his understanding of spacecraft design. Your vessel is built like a fortress. The hull armor is thicker than our largest military ships. The weapon systems are integrated into every aspect of the design. That's standard for human spacecraft, Cross replied. Space is dangerous. Asteroid impacts, radiation storms, equipment failures. Ships need to be tough enough to survive anything they might encounter. The Federation representatives realized they were dealing with a species that approached survival from a completely different perspective. Where they had built their civilization on cooperation and peaceful problem-solving, humans had been shaped by constant challenges and competition. Dr. Pierce showed them recordings of Earth's wildlife. Hoping to help them understand human evolution, the aliens watched in shocked silence as predators hunted prey across African savannas and sharks cruised through Earth's oceans. Your world is classified as a Class X death world in our databases, Kethmar explained quietly. We thought such planets could not support intelligent life. The environmental stress should prevent complex civilization from developing. Instead, it made us stronger, Pierce replied. Every challenge forced us to adapt and improve. Competition drove innovation. Conflict taught us strategy and cooperation. Council Leader Kethvarn asked the question that had been troubling all the Federation representatives. How do you maintain peace among your own people if your species is naturally violent? Cross answered from her experience as a military officer. Violence is a tool like any other technology. We learn to control it and use it only when necessary. Most humans live peaceful lives, but we never forgot how to fight when fighting becomes necessary. The conversation continued for hours as both sides tried to understand each other's perspectives. The Federation aliens were amazed by human adaptability and strength, while the humans were impressed by the aliens' advanced technology and peaceful society. But the real breakthrough came when Vellani realized what this meeting meant for the war against the hegemony. For the first time since the attacks began, we have found allies who understand warfare not as an academic subject, but as a survival skill. Admiral Hayes, watching from Earth, understood the implications. The Federation had technology that was centuries ahead of human science, but they had no idea how to use it for military purposes. Humans had the strategic knowledge and fighting experience that could turn Federation technology into effective weapons. The partnership began to take shape during that first meeting. The Federation would share their advanced science, including faster-than-light travel, energy shields, and powerful manufacturing systems. In return, humans would teach them military tactics, weapon design, and the strategic thinking needed to fight the hegemony. Dr. Pierce proposed setting up a joint research facility where human and Federation scientists could work together. We can combine your technology with our military knowledge, create new types of ships and weapons that neither of us could build alone. Captain Cross suggested starting with training programs for Federation personnel. Your people need to learn basic military thinking, how to move ships in combat formations, how to coordinate attacks, how to think like warriors instead of diplomats. The aliens were eager to learn, but they also had concerns about adopting human approaches to conflict. Villani expressed the worry that many Federation citizens shared. We fear that learning violence might change us into something we do not want to become. Pierce understood their concern. War is terrible, but sometimes it is necessary to protect innocent people. We are not asking you to become violent. We are asking you to become capable of defending yourselves and others. The meeting ended with agreements for immediate cooperation. The Federation would begin evacuating civilians from threatened worlds, while human advisors helped plan defensive strategies. Earth would send military experts and advanced weapons to help level the playing field against the hegemony. As Captain Cross prepared to return to Earth with a delegation of Federation representatives, both species realized they were about to change each other in fundamental ways. The peaceful aliens would learn the arts of war, while the warlike humans would be exposed to advanced science and philosophical approaches they had never imagined. The partnership was formalized with a simple document that would reshape galactic politics forever. Two completely different approaches to civilization were joining forces against a common enemy that threatened them both. Admiral Hayes received the final report from the asteroid outpost with mixed emotions. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe, but their first contact with alien life had come through a desperate war that would test both species to their limits. Earth began preparing for its new role as the military backbone of an interstellar alliance. The galaxy was about to discover what happened when Deathworlders decided to fight for justice. The hegemony fleet commander Zarthek studied the reports from his scouts with growing confusion. For 6 months, his forces had swept through Federation space without meeting any real resistance. The peaceful aliens died easily, their beautiful ships crumbling like toys under his weapons. Now suddenly, unknown vessels were attacking his fleets and winning. 3 of his best hunting packs had disappeared completely. The few survivors who escaped spoke of enemy ships that moved like living creatures, striking without warning and vanishing before his forces could respond. These new enemies used weapons that punched through shields like they were not there. Zarthek decided to end this annoyance with overwhelming force. He assembled the largest battle fleet in hegemony history. Over 400 ships, including 12 planet killers that could destroy entire worlds with single shots. No force in the galaxy could stand against such power. Miral Hayes received the intelligence reports about the approaching hegemony fleet while inspecting the joint Human Federation shipyard at Titan Station. In 6 months of cooperation, both species had learned incredible amounts from each other. Federation technology powered human weapon designs, creating ships that neither species could have built alone. The human fleet that prepared to meet the hegemony was unlike anything Earth had ever launched. The battleship Earth's Fury led the formation, its hull gleaming with Federation energy shields while human railguns bristled along its sides. Captain Rick Stone commanded the massive vessel with a crew that included both humans and Federation aliens working together. Captain Dane Cross had been promoted to Admiral and now commanded the Stealth division from her upgraded flagship Shadow Strike. Her ships used Federation cloaking technology enhanced with human tactical systems, making them nearly impossible to detect or track. The combined fleet included 67 ships representing the best of both civilizations. Human destroyers flew alongside Federation science vessels converted to carriers. Alien technology merged with Deathworld engineering, created weapons that could challenge even the hegemony's massive fleets. Commander Vellani now served as Admiral Cross's tactical advisor, her peaceful nature transformed by months of military training. She had learned to think like a warrior while keeping her compassion for all living beings. The change in her represented what was happening throughout Federation space as peaceful species learned the harsh necessity of warfare. The battle began at the edge of the Proxima system, where the hegemony fleet emerged from hyperspace expecting to find helpless victims. Instead, they faced an organized defense that had been planning this confrontation for months. All ships, this is Admiral Hayes, came the transmission from the command vessel. Terra's shield. Today we show the galaxy that evil does not always win. Make them remember this day. The hegemony fleet attacked in their usual formation, massive ships advancing in straight lines while smaller vessels spread out to surround their targets. It was the same tactic that had destroyed 43 star systems without significant resistance. But the Human Federation Alliance had studied these tactics and prepared countermeasures. As the enemy advanced, Admiral Cross's stealth ships appeared from all directions, striking at the flanks and rear of the hegemony formation. The shadow strike materialized directly behind one of the massive planet killers, its enhanced railguns firing at point-blank range. The kinetic rounds punched through the alien ship's hull, causing internal explosions that tore the massive vessel apart from within. Captain Stone's battleship Earth's Fury absorbed direct hits from 3 enemy dreadnoughts and kept fighting. Federation shields absorbed energy that should have vaporized the ship, while human armor plating deflected attacks that would have crippled any other vessel. But what truly shocked the hegemony was the willingness of the defenders to sacrifice themselves for others. When the destroyer Valiant found itself surrounded by enemy ships, Commander Beth Ryan did not retreat or surrender. Instead, she ordered maximum acceleration and rammed her vessel into the engine section of the hegemony flagship. The explosion crippled the massive command ship and sent debris through the enemy formation. It was an act of courage that no hegemony commander could understand. In their society, individual survival always came before group objectives. The battle raged for 18 hours across the entire star system. Human tactics, learned through centuries of warfare on a dangerous world, proved devastatingly effective against an enemy that had never faced real resistance. Ships that could destroy planets were outmaneuvered by smaller, faster vessels that struck from unexpected directions. Federation technology enhanced every human strategy. Energy shields allowed ships to survive long enough to close with the enemy. Advanced sensors helped human gunners target weak points in alien hull designs. Improved engines gave human vessels the speed advantage they needed to avoid the hegemony's massive weapons. The combined fleet lost 31 ships in the battle, but the hegemony lost over 200. For the first time in their expansion, they were forced to retreat from a battlefield. The survivors limped back to their core territories, carrying news that would shock their entire civilization. Admiral Hayes stood on the bridge of Terra's shield as the enemy fled, watching the debris field that marked humanity's first major victory in interstellar warfare. Around her, human and alien crew members worked together to coordinate rescue operations for survivors from both fleets. "This is just the beginning," she told her assembled commanders during the victory conference. "We have proven that the hegemony can be defeated, but they will return with larger fleets and new tactics. We need to press our advantage while they are still confused and disorganized." Over the following months, the human-led alliance began liberating worlds that had been written off as lost. The peaceful Federation species learned to fight alongside their Death World allies. Their advanced technology merged with human military doctrine, creating devastatingly effective hybrid tactics. Captain Cross, now commanding a fleet of 50 ships, led strikes deep into hegemony territory. Her stealth vessels appeared without warning at enemy supply bases and shipyards, crippling the alien war machine from within. The hegemony, accustomed to easy victories, struggled to adapt to enemies who refused to fight fair. The war turned when Admiral Hayes authorized Operation Starbreak, a massive assault on the hegemony's core systems. 200 ships from 17 different species jumped into enemy space simultaneously, attacking on multiple fronts while Cross's stealth fleet hit their command centers. The final battle took place above the hegemony homeworld. where their greatest fleets gathered for a desperate last stand. The combined Alliance fleet faced over 600 enemy vessels in the largest space battle in galactic history. The hegemony fought with the fury of a cornered predator, their massive ships unleashing everything they had against the approaching Alliance. Planet-killer beams swept through space, destroying Alliance vessels by the dozen. For a moment, it seemed like the defenders might break through the attack. But the Alliance had learned lessons that went beyond military tactics. When Federation ships were damaged, human vessels moved to protect them. When human ships ran low on ammunition, alien vessels shared their supplies. The cooperation between species that had seemed impossible 6 months earlier now happened automatically. Admiral Cross led the final assault personally, her flagship diving through the enemy formation toward the hegemony command ship. Around her, ships from a dozen worlds followed her into the heart of enemy fire, their crews united by shared purpose rather than fear. The command ship's destruction marked the end of hegemony resistance. With their leadership gone and their fleets shattered, the surviving aliens surrendered unconditionally. The reign of terror that had threatened to destroy galactic civilization was finally over. In the aftermath of victory, Admiral Hayes addressed the combined fleets from the bridge of her damaged flagship. Behind her, the view screen showed ships from dozens of species working together to rescue survivors and begin the long process of rebuilding what had been destroyed. "We answered the call," she said simply. "When the galaxy cried for help, the children of Earth came from the darkness between stars. We brought with us the fury of a world that taught us to fight, but also the wisdom to know what is worth fighting for." The alliance that had begun with a desperate cry for help had become something greater. The peaceful species of the Federation had learned that sometimes violence was necessary to protect the innocent. Humanity had discovered that their strength could be used to defend rather than conquer. The galaxy would never be the same. The Deathworlders had emerged from the shadows, and the darkness had learned to fear the light.